Hello, everybody. I created a little graphic for us to look at as far as travel. So several of you have travel coming up. I know summertime is a busy time for that, and I want to make sure that you guys have the tools that you need to be successful even when you're traveling. First of all, I would just encourage you just from a mindset standpoint. So remember, a calorie deficit is the hardest part, which is what most of you all are in right now. Um, we want to make sure that you're making consistent progress and that it's not like I'm good Monday through Thursday and then Friday through Sunday it's a free for all, because you won't make consistent progress that way. You'll keep backtracking. But remember that it's a process, and that when you're at maintenance, you are going to have so much more freedom and flexibility to travel, eat out, do the things you love, eat pizza, cupcakes, go to kids' birthday parties, and not necessarily see the number move on the scale. And if you do, it's like a pound or two and you're at your goal weight. So it's not a big deal. So I would just tell you, this is the hard part. If you can buckle down and do this, you will be set up for success long term. But I would also say, like, make sure that we walk through a reverse diet together. A lot of people like try to cut it short and say they can do it on their own, and they are almost always the people who come back because they didn't do it correctly. So I created a little graphic for us. I'm going to upload this to the Get Healthy like nutrition program. But let me see if I can push present. Oh, one of my little graphics is way over there on the side. Y'all see that? See if I can delete it. Okay. All right, let's try again. So these are 5 tips, travel tips. So 5 tips to maintain health while you travel. Again, I will put this as part of the program on Healthy, so that you can access it in that platform. But let's go through it. So, and I have lots to say about each thing, but so a lot of times, this is a great time for you to not track. So a lot of times I tell you not to track. You can if you want. Some people are very, like, it really helps keep them on track, but I don't want you to use tracking as a crutch. So this is a great time to practice eating mindfully. So I don't want you to do this every weekend. There are some weekends that I want you to track, and that will, I mean, you'll be surprised how calorie intake on the weekend can totally negate any calorie deficit that you were in throughout the week. But if you're traveling and it's something that doesn't happen, all the time, I want you to use that time to practice eating mindfully. So sometimes it's difficult to track food. So using this time to eat slowly, put your fork down between bites, really stop and take in the whole environment of eating. Like, what are the sounds? What are the smells? What is the social interaction? So that we're not always looking to like just the actual food to give us pleasure. Like, our brains are always looking for pleasure, but there are a lot of other ways that we can get that in the people that we're eating with and that sort of thing, rather than just the food. Chew your food thoroughly. This is, I mean, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but we don't chew our food. We eat on the go. We always are in a rush. If I asked you, when does digestion start? A lot of people think that it starts like when you swallow your food and like it's going through your stomach. It's actually starting in your mouth. The saliva in your mouth contains salivary amylase that helps break down the food and allows you to digest it and eliminate it properly. So a lot of times if we're dealing with things like constipation, it can be traced back to the fact that we're not chewing our food thoroughly and maximizing digestion. So chew your food thoroughly and practice eating to 80% full. We as Americans are really out of touch with this. We have no idea when we're full, when we're hungry. Like, those hunger and fullness cues are just, we're not used to following them. Maybe you're of the generation of like clean your plate, or you eat because it's 12 o'clock and You eat because you see something you want, or you smell something, or you're stressed. We eat for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of times it's not actually hunger. And it sounds simple, but these are things, again, that we're out of touch with, and we really have to practice to become in touch with them again. If you eat until you're full, you've overeaten. So 80% full is like just where you're satisfied. You're not still thinking about like wanting more. You don't have that any like hunger symptoms or feeling in your stomach, but you're not stuffed. You're very comfortable. And typically that's about half of a meal, like if you eat out. So a lot of times when we're traveling, we're eating out more. And we'll talk about that in just a second too. So tip number 2 is just don't underestimate the power of steps. Sometimes when you travel, like you may be out of your normal exercise routine, but as much as you can keep that going, or even just getting steps in. So walk at the airport instead of sitting. Stop at a rest stop to use the bathroom and walk around a little bit there. And I personally like to just kind of like front end load steps. So get up, get a good walk in before you even like get in the car to travel. But just be mindful of just your daily movement. That plays a significant role in your overall metabolism. Drink more water. So drink at least 8 ounces of water before you have any caffeine or coffee. And then before you eat any meals or snacks. So a lot of times our brains interpret thirst as hunger. And we think we're hungry specifically if you have like a craving for something random, or like that 2 p.m. kind of afternoon slump and you're craving something. A lot of times this is thirst. So drink a glass of water first. Don't tell yourself that you can't have the snack that you're craving. Let's say you're like in the airport and you see a Snickers bar and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. Or you're driving and you're at a gas station, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. Allow yourself permission to have it, but drink water first, eat it slowly, and stop when you're satisfied. And you'd be surprised if you give your brain a minute to catch up with what's happening and like that pleasure, hedonic drive to eat, you'll start to remove the association between like food gratification, as far as like what your brain is craving at the moment. But we don't want to tell ourselves that we can't have it. I tell you guys all the time that that's like telling a 2-year-old not to touch the breakable item. They're like hyper focused on it. So if you tell yourself like, oh my gosh, I can't have Snickers. I can't wait to be off this diet because I want Snickers, then that's not doing anyone any good. And it's not going to set you up for long-term success. So just a few more nutrition tips. Sorry, this font is really small. Hopefully when I upload it in healthy, it won't be so small, but I think when I'm doing this present mode, it's really small. But just thinking about a balanced plate. So half your plate with colorful, non-starchy vegetables and some fruit if it's available. At least, half to 3/4 of your plate, not half, half to 3/4. I'd say like 2/3, 1/3. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't do fractions. Anyway, non-starchy fruits and vegetables, protein, and then a cupped handful of a carb. Okay. So maybe like if you're going to have, if you want a slice of bread, then you don't have rice or potatoes. Or maybe if you want the rice or potatoes, you don't have the bread. Cheese grits. I don't know why, but cheese grits just sound great to me right now. Maybe you have the cheese grits and you don't have the bread. So pick one carbohydrate to enjoy, eat it slowly, and eat the protein and the vegetables first, and then enjoy the carbohydrate. So like load up that protein and fiber. I always say fiber and protein together are nature's Ozempic. They will make you full, they delay gastric emptying, and they give you a lot more willpower over that carbohydrate than that you will have. Maybe if you decide that you want dessert that night or an alcoholic beverage, you don't have the carb at all. So that's just kind of a trade-off that you kind of navigate. So you're not depriving yourself. And again, the deficit is the hardest part. You're not depriving yourself, but you are having restraint and exercising self-control, which is a good thing for all people. And then pack your staples and snacks. So I have a list here of some of my favorite things to bring along. Protein shakes, remember, just to make sure that it does not contain sucralose. So the Fairlife protein shakes contain sucralose, unfortunately. Orgain and OWYN do not. I'm sure there are lots of others that do not, but Fairlife, like the pre-made protein shakes, do, just FYI. Grass-fed beef sticks. So I really like the Chomps beef sticks. They even have like turkey if you're sensitive to like beef collagen. Nuts. Don't forget fruits and vegetables. There are a lot of fruits and vegetables that transport beautifully. We just don't think about like them being things that we want to snack on. So baby carrots, celery, broccoli, like all those things can be eaten raw. Cherry tomatoes, anything like that that you enjoy. Cucumber slices, like they don't have to be refrigerated. You can eat them raw, and you really just need to have them available and make it a point that you're going to take them. Sure, when you reach in your snack bag, are you like, I'm craving my baby carrots? No, but maybe you start with those, you get those nutrients in that your body needs to feel well, your brain needs to function well. And then you move on to like the more fun snacks that you would, that you would consider fun. Fruit, so apples, bananas. I mean, I wouldn't want to have berries in the car like for a super long time, but there's lots of fruits that are totally fine. Tangerines, like the little clementines, like all those kind of things, even dried fruit. You want to be careful with dried fruit because it is kind of, it's higher in sugar because it's a condensed, like it's a larger amount of fruit packed in to like the same serving size. And a lot of times we don't get as much of the fiber as we would if we were eating the actual fruit. But I always keep it in my purse, one of those little mini That's It bars. It's just dried fruit, or dried apricots, dried mango. Try to get kinds that like don't have added sugar. But those are very portable. They last for forever on the go. They're clean. So that's a really good thing to take. Popcorn. If you do popcorn, I'd like for you to try to make sure that it's organic. So the Lesser Evil is a really good brand. The reason why we want it organic is because if it's not organic, all corn is grown with genetically modifying, I don't even know what you call like, not products, but like a polluted, corn is the most polluted crop, one of the most polluted crops. So they want it to grow faster, grow bigger. Obviously, that helps as far as like how much money you make off of it. So they're almost all like, if you look at cornstarch, unless it's organic, it will say on the nutrition label contains a genetically modified ingredient. I would encourage you guys just to kind of start looking for that. Not that we want to create food fear. If you cannot afford organic, corn, popcorn, cornstarch, that's fine. I'm not here to create food fear. But I do think that it is helpful to be aware of some of the things that are in these products. So just start looking at labels and see how many things say contains a genetically modified ingredient, even like the kids snacks, like Pirate Booty. It contains genetically modified ingredients. I bet half the kids' snacks in the pantry probably say that. And I've tried to start migrating to cleaner options, but popcorn is one of them. I really digressed. So try to get organic or like the Lesser Evil. Just bare apple chips, and then That's It fruit bars. But whatever you like, as many 1 or 2 ingredient things as possible. You'll notice that most of the things on this list, probably besides the protein shakes, are just a few simple ingredients. They're not a lot of things that you can't pronounce and that your body really has no clue how to use for fuel either. See if I was just going to mention, like, as far as eating out, like if you do, this is more like an eating out tip, but I feel like eating out and travel goes hand in hand. When you eat at a restaurant, go ahead and ask for half the meal box before it's even brought to your table. Otherwise, you'll eat half, you'll pick on it a little bit more. It'll look like it's not enough to take to go, but you don't want to waste it and you're going to overeat. So you save money, you get more meals out of it if you just go ahead and ask for half of it boxed right off the bat. And then you're not even presented with it or tempted with it. And almost every place that you can eat out, half of the portion is plenty. Especially if you're in a calorie deficit, you don't need the full portion. So if it's the kind of thing where you can't make a better choice, like let's say you're going to a wedding and they're serving pasta. You really just want to focus on eating slowly, eating the correct portion, not on like what the actual food is. or if you go out to a restaurant and you weren't able to look at the menu and plan ahead, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, I did put this on here. Look ahead at menus, come up with a plan. Don't wait till you're there like hungry before you decide to pick something. Anyway, sorry for tell you guys that. But anyway, if you don't have control over the actual food that you're eating, just work on reducing the portion and being satisfied with that. So I hope all this is helpful. I will post the video, I'll send it out and I'll post it in the Facebook group. And I will upload it to the Healthy program so that you guys all have access to it. Stop sharing that. Okay. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday.